Good morning. So yesterday evening I received an email from a developer of add-ons for Microsoft Flight Simulator, a self-taught developer who has developed an aircraft for Flight Simulator and was wondering if I might like to feature it on the channel so we could obviously get him some more traffic to get him up and running. So he is as I said, he is a self-taught developer. This is not a commercial team of developers. This is somebody who has taken it upon themselves to get involved in building things for Flight Simulator, and they are learning along the way. So I'm going to be a lot more forgiving in this look at this aeroplane than I might otherwise be, because you're going to notice straight away as we look around the aeroplane, yes, it's not up to the quality of the big development houses, but again, this has not been built by professionals. This has been built by somebody that's learning how to do it as they do it. So yes, the aircraft's quite a unique aircraft. There are several really great videos on YouTube of it, actually, of the real thing. So it's the Camair Navion, or Twin Navion, I should say. There was an earlier version of this aircraft in the 1940s that only had a single engine. So this was I think the backstory behind the development of this aeroplane is following the end of the Second World War, the various factories in the US, rather than completely tearing down all of their tooling that they had put together for building low-wing monoplanes, they were thinking, how could we build something for the commercial market without losing all of the tooling completely and the skills in the factories? So the Navion came about, or Navion, and then shortly after that the Twin Navion came about. So this is the Twin Navion. It's a 70-year-old aeroplane. It's quite unique and quite quirky and quite different. So there are several, I think there's something like 5 left in the world that are still flying. And there's a YouTube video of one of them that I watched last night that was absolutely fantastic. So anyway, let's go and jump inside. We're at Wycombe Air Park in England, and we're going to take it for a quick fly. So I'm probably going to do things wrong here because I've read the instructions briefly and looked through the account of the development of it. So you can see it doesn't have the polish of, the professionally developed 3D models and textures, but we're going to let that go today because this is somebody learning how to do this. And I was quite surprised that they've already figured out how to switch out the radio stacks, which from a development point of view is not going to be easy. Anyway, how do we get this up and going? So the battery master switch is down here. So once we do that, we turn on the beacon light and just checking around the place that we get things in the right order. We put the magnetos to both for both engines. Got a full rich mixture, so if we go and look at the levers, you've got the propellers on the left, the mixture on the right, and the throttles in the middle. So we're just going to crank the throttles for both engines, and then we're going to start the right engine, and then if we look outside as we do this, we'll start the left engine. Okay, so engines are up and running. We'll calibrate the altimeter. We'll go and turn on the avionics. So that will boot up the GPS. We'll turn on the transponder, so you can see the kind of where they're learning their craft as you look around the aircraft. The dials are all done remarkably nicely, but then you get some odd bits and pieces like the 3D artifacts around the gauges are not quite in the right place. It's arguable they shouldn't be there really, they're not really needed, but anyway. It's you've got that same thing you commonly see on other aircraft where the thing that's being reflected, maybe they've got a box, I'm not sure. I'm not going to delve too deeply in how they've done things or to critique it too much, but on the whole it's off to a fantastic start, and you can see this actually becoming really nicely done as they learn more techniques to do things like the rivets and stuff. Obviously they're just textures at the moment. They could really do with being in the model, to do material modeling on them properly. Okay, so let's go and take this. We're going to fly for a quick circuit around Wycombe. So we're going to come off the parking brake, ease the throttles forwards, and we're rolling. We'll chop this guy up because he's standing in the wrong place. Go for takeoff flap configuration. So you can see it's a quirky looking little thing, but it's kind of its era. So yeah, it's worth me saying I haven't paid for this. The developer has given me a copy of it to draw attention to it, basically. So I've kind of reached that point on my YouTube journey, I guess, that new developers are going to come to me from time to time, and I'm going to give them some time and, you know, get some eyeballs on the airplanes that they're working on. It's worth pointing out as well, this airplane has a very active community on Discord, and they're putting updates out for it all the time. So the sounds are very good. Like, it's a really nice engine sound. Okay, so we're accelerating up through 80 knots. We can rotate about 90 to 100. It comes up very quickly. So gear up, flaps up, and then we turn to 30 degrees. So we're going to fly the circuit here at Booker. So I'm getting used to how it feels as we fly it. So we're coming up to 1,000 feet already. That's 500 feet over the airfield elevation. Look out the side. Should we sit up? Could really do with that guy not being there. Let's go and see if we can sort that out on the way. Here comes the Hambledon Valley. So have they programmed, or has he programmed this to work? Yes, he has. Brilliant. So we've overshot our altitude for the climb out. So we're going to come back to 50% throttle. And we'll drop back down to 1,500 feet as we make our way around the corner. So there's the beast, where we will turn right. So I'm quite surprised there's no turn coordinator, but that's not such a major issue. So this aircraft is fast. So we're back down to 1,500 feet now, which is perfect. So let's get it trimmed out a little bit now. We're just turning over the top of the woods. We're heading that kind of direction eventually. So we should be coming around for 60 degrees now. And there we go. So it's easy to control. I think it's very good actually. I'm going to turn my speaker down in the room in case it feeds back into the microphone and you get the impression this is the noisiest plane in the world. So I've just got the trim a little bit wrong there. Okay, so yeah, I'm impressed with how well it flies, but we'll have to see how well I do at landing it, I guess. It's remarkably sturdy, I think you would say. But yeah, I think the only thing that really lets it down is the way the texturing has been done. But that's obviously, I think the material modelling is a bit of an art in Flight Simulator, and some teams have nailed it. But then some teams have, you know, professional 3D artists who are working for them and on a payroll essentially, versus a sole developer who's working on this single-handed and learning it as he goes. So we're going to be a bit more charitable than we might normally be. Okay, so we make our right turn. So we're looking for 150 degrees. And we're looking to descend to 1,000 feet. So there's 150. We're looking for the airfield over here. So there we have 1,000 feet. And gear can come down. God, this plane is so fast. So we overshot the turn slightly, but we can correct that on the way in. We're a little bit high. So now we're on track for the runway on the VASI lights. So it's very easy to control, I'll give it that much. Gone low. So I'm just holding it off the runway to see how it behaves. So as soon as it did lose lift, it lost it quite suddenly. So I think overall I quite like this. Okay, it doesn't look as polished as some of the professionally built aeroplanes for Flight Simulator with, you know, teams of developers working on them. But it's not bad. And for a first go at somebody who's learning the craft, it's quite amazing actually that they've got this far this quickly. So if you go and read the accounts on the internet about it, they've done this in the space of about a year now, I think, from when they first started. And they don't come from a developer background either. They come from an aviation background, but not from a development background. So the amount of skills they will have had to learn to have built this thing is quite stunning, really. Let's have another look at it from outside. So you do get several liveries with it. It's nice to see that they've made the external internal views of the passengers match each other, because you, even on the professionally built planes, you rarely see that. It's worth pointing out the nose opens, the side baggage door opens as well. There are various click spots inside to do things as well that I've noticed. Could do with more propeller animations probably, to reflect, you know, different states of the engine. Because this is idle at the moment, and that seems to be almost the same as the full throttle animation. But yeah, I'm not going to pretend, although I do work as a software developer, I'm not going to pretend to know too much about building aircraft for Flight Simulator. I can't imagine how difficult and how many skills you need to do this single-handed. Right, so if we... turning circle on the ground's great. They've got the wind noise there, which it shouldn't be, but as I said, I'm going to be remarkably charitable with this, because it's a learning developer and this is their first project. So if you take that into account, it's actually quite remarkable, really. So let's see if the engines die when we cut the mixture. Yes, they do. And they took a few seconds, which is good. So obviously the fuel in the tube, or fuel in the pipes, needs to be used up. So that's been actually taken into account by the look of it. So we go and turn the avionics off. We never actually turn the pitot heat on. It's a lovely warm morning here anyway. We can go and turn the beacon light off. We didn't even turn the nav lights on. But for a first flight, I'm impressed with it. I mean, okay, yes, it needs a lot of work in terms of the 3D model and the way things are done. So you can almost see a version 2 of this down the road once the developer knows a lot more. But for a starter for 10, really, it's pretty good. Okay, so that was the Twin Navion in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can go and read more about it at Hangar Studios 713. So that's a Google site. It is very much belt and braces the way it's being developed. If you search for Twin Navion or Navion on Google, you will find the site anyway. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you again soon.